I've talked business thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. Your cash in the bank is about to get a little safer. This is thanks to a new deposit compensation scheme which is coming into force. Business Desk Garth Bray with us this morning. Garth, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Now, this applies to everyone, every New Zealand saver.
Pretty much. I mean, there are 29 banks or deposit takers in this scheme, most of the major banks, a lot of the smaller credit unions and that kind of thing. Pretty much it's a compulsory requirement for a large part of the savings sector. It's always good to just double check if you're in there, but it covers your first $100,000. So that means if you are a couple that have got a joint account, it'd be 200 grand, 100 each kind of thing.
And this is great, obviously, for if and when things go tits up. Well, you won't. Well, unless you've got $1 million in the bank and you only get 100 back.
Well, then you might want to share it around 9 other banks, right?
Yes.
Because that's how the scheme works out. I guess some of the banks have been a little bit worried about how this could play out because obviously someone pays for this. It's funded by a levy that's imposed on the banks. And the major banks together are going to chip in, the 4 big ones, about $62 million a year to fund this thing. The little finance companies, I think it's about 300 grand, and there's about 15 million worth of funds coming from those mid-tier banks, and they're saying, crikey, this could make things more expensive for us. It could mean that we've got to cut the sort of deposits rates that we're offering people, and then that might push people into the bigger banks. And I guess this whole thing was sort of thought about after the GFC, the Great Financial Crisis, or global financial crisis in 2008. We had a crack at this system then for a couple of years because Australia brought one in, and people were worried here that most people would just shovel their money into Australian banks in Australia if we didn't have a scheme like this. Interesting. Our one caps out at 100, Aussie 250k.
Well, that's because they're richer than us.
Well, isn't that interesting? There you go. There's another signal.
But you've got to start somewhere too, I guess, as well. And without, you worry that the effect will be less competition in the sector because these medium-sized ones, prices go up and we gravitate towards the big banks.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line, isn't it? Now, the Scott-based rebuild, this is getting spicy, isn't it? So the boss of the Scott-based rebuild, letting rip at the infrastructure industry.
That's right. This is Adam Feely, who used to run the Serious Fraud Office, used to run Queenstown Lakes Council as well, I think. He's now in charge of the rebuild effort. This is the sort of $500 million plan. Originally, they were going to build modules at, I think, the port in Timaru and ship them across the choppy Southern Ocean along with some wind farms and things which have had some problems. That all kind of got scaled down massively, and he's had a bit of a crack at an infrastructure conference saying basically that there's a reluctance to call out poor performers that circulate from project to project. But then, of course, he doesn't want to name names because he'll wind up getting sued by said poor performers.
Yeah.
But he said, look, we've got this problem in New Zealand where he feels that there are a number of companies that just kind of keep turning up to do jobs and not doing them very well. And this isn't kind of your dodgy fly-by-night tradie. These are some pretty large and substantial companies. So I guess a bit of soul-searching there in the industry to see whether we're on the right track.
Yeah, and the problem is that it's those big so-called trusted ones that people trust. So the government departments keep doing contracts with them because it's safer to do that.
Well,
but are they actually good?
Yeah, well, they're sort of saying to each other, oh, crikey, yeah, they're a bit dodgy. It's like, well, why do you keep giving them jobs then? Why are they still in there? Anyway, yeah.
Nice one, Garth. Good to see you as always. Garth Bray with us. Thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. And he is with us here, of course, from Business Desk this morning and is every morning.